Imagine having to choose between starving to death or risking your life for a bag of flour. Yes, I've made a similar post before. That's just the depressing reality of sustained siege. This is the reality for 2.3 million people in Gaza right now. The GHF, the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, has opened aid sites that happen to be next to Israeli military bases in line of sight of Israeli soldiers and Israeli tanks. It's a most barbaric aid setup that's been called out, condemned by actual aid organizations, not the GHF. UNRWA, the United Nations aid agency that's been working in Gaza for 70 years, Amnesty International, and many others have said the GHF is an illegitimate aid organization. It's basically a trap. Every single day, Palestinians are killed as they try to get aid from GHF to feed their own families. How are other legit aid organizations not allowed into Gaza, but GHF is, you may ask? Well, because the GHF is Israeli backed. The state that is engineering a man made famine, starving millions to death, is in the ICJ for crimes against humanity and conducting a genocide, is the state that supports and allows the operation of GHF. So, not really surprising, but still horrifying. It's US backed too. Here's what's really shocking. Over 400 Palestinians have been killed simply trying to get food aid in the last 1 month. UN officials are calling these sites death traps. Every day, desperate families walk miles to these heavily militarized zones where the GHF set up their aid, not in, even Israeli designated safe zones. They're set up in militarized zones, and some of the people, civilians, don't come back to their families. Now, Israel, fresh from its effective defeat in the last 12-day war against Iran, is under renewed pressure now to end its siege of Gaza and agree to a ceasefire. France, for example, just started renewed calls for the end of the siege of Gaza. Israeli war goals, even here in the occupied territories, remain largely unfulfilled. Israeli ministers are divided. One party leader of a centrist party in Israel, Yair Golan, I believe, said when Israel agreed to a ceasefire with Iran, he said, let's keep going. Let's get a ceasefire with Gaza as well, please. We don't want war anymore. To add further pressure, 7 Israeli soldiers were killed yesterday in what I believe is a Khan Yunis ambush by Palestinian resistance forces. That's the 25th of June, yesterday. Israel says it's preventing Palestinian resistance fighters from stealing aid by doing all these restrictions, enforcing all these restrictions on international aid organizations. But that justification, I remind you, good viewer, is being used to prevent baby formula from entering the territory. Baby formula. It's being used to prevent painkillers, prevent antibiotics, prevent vegetables from entering Gaza. If the IDF soldiers were afraid of weaponized onions at this point, I would not be surprised. They are in the West Bank right now, for example, arresting children for throwing rocks, children, at armored vehicles, and body armored, helmeted soldiers of the IDF children, right? I hear you, IDF, I hear you. One of those big onions, the big ones, easy to cut, the ones your wives and your mothers love because they're not small, they're very easy to cut, right? Less peeling, more cutting, more onion mass at the end for the same amount of work. Those big onions, when left, as a big onion, you chuck them nicely, right? They've got some damage potentially to dish out. They've got some velocity, right? I get it. So this is the situation, guys. You have to. I'm having to make jokes in like a sort of Schindler's List type situation that maybe 50 years from now we'll make another black and white video of 2025 flipping. That's the situation we're in now. Israel is in a tough spot though. They've not managed to break the civilians of Gaza. They've not managed to fully occupy the territory. And with the conflict with Iran over, the eyes of the world collectively just turned back to the occupied Palestinian territories. The question isn't whether Gaza faces famine, though, anymore. The question is how many more will die from that human-engineered famine that we know is now ongoing. How many more will die trying to survive it? And what states will do something, anything, to stop it? I'll cover the details, the potential for state interventions in a future geopolitical analysis video. Till then, for the unbiased news and analysis without the Western spin, I'm Mahfouz, and I'll see you on the next one.